Let's move to the Middle East now. And the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told US officials that Israel's ability to counter threats to its security and return displaced people to the north were key elements of any ceasefire deal with Lebanon. He was speaking shortly after rocket attacks by Hezbollah reportedly killed 7 people in northern Israel, marking one of the highest civilian death tolls from strikes by the militant group. Meanwhile, Israel has continued its air campaign in Lebanon, targeting areas near the eastern city of Baalbek. In the past 24 hours, 45 people have been killed across Lebanon, bringing the total number of deaths to 2,865 since the start of the conflict. My colleague Ben Brown is in Jerusalem and has more from there.
Well, the Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister has been saying he's cautiously optimistic about the possibility of a ceasefire as far as Lebanon's concerned. He said it could happen within a few days, maybe even a few hours. Certainly there have been reports in the Israeli media of a 60-day ceasefire, which would pave the way to a permanent truce, with the Israeli forces pulling out of Lebanon in the first week of that ceasefire. But then many experts and analysts are saying actually until the US presidential election is out of the way, they don't believe that a ceasefire either in Lebanon or in Gaza is going to happen. There have been 2 US envoys here in Jerusalem today, Amos Hochstein and Brett McGurk, and they've been talking to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about the possibility of truces in both Lebanon and Gaza, but so far no concrete results on either of those. Now on the ground, there's been more death and destruction both sides of the Lebanese border today. Around the town of Metula in northern Israel, 5 people were killed by Hezbollah rocket fire, and another 2 people near the city of Haifa in northern Israel as well. One of the deadliest days in terms of Hezbollah rocket fire in northern Israel. And inside Lebanon itself, the city of Baalbek, again for the second day running, the Israeli military have issued evacuation orders because they've been targeting what they say is Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure in and around Baalbek. That is an ancient city. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site with extraordinary Roman temples there. But there have been airstrikes. 19 people were killed there yesterday, and there were more airstrikes today. So the Israeli campaign for the moment in Lebanon and indeed in Gaza goes on.
Ben Brown in Jerusalem there. Well, Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister has expressed hope that a ceasefire deal with Israel would be announced within days, as Israel's national broadcaster published what it said was a draft agreement providing for an initial 60-day truce. According to the report, Israel would withdraw its forces from Lebanon within the first week of the deal, and the Lebanese army would be deployed along the border. During the pause, Hezbollah would end its armed presence in the area. Well, let's go live to Beirut, where we can speak with Najat Saliba, member of the Lebanese Parliament. Welcome to you. Thank you for being with us. What's your understanding of how close a ceasefire deal may or may not be?
Good evening to you and your viewers. Thank you for accepting for inviting me. We are very skeptical about this deal, and it seems from the beginning that this deal might not take place or might not see the light, although we really mourn all the death from all sides of the spectrum, and at the same time we really support any diplomatic talk that could bring peace to the region. It seems to us that at this moment, from the part of Israel, it's not really an opportune time for them, especially that the US is super busy with election, and for them to strike a deal now sounds not too beneficial perhaps for them, although we would love this to happen. That's why people were very skeptical and did not really, did not put their hopes too high when the Prime Minister was talking last night on TV, saying that he is optimistic about a truce and a ceasefire coming up.
What about Hezbollah's position? What do you think that will be? They have a new leader, and since last year, the October the 7th Hamas attacks on Israel and the ensuing Gaza war, Hezbollah have made it clear that they stand with Hamas, and that's their justification for their continuing firing of rockets into Israel today. killing 7 people, it's being reported, in northern Israel. Do you think they will shift their position and be prepared to accept a ceasefire away from any Gaza ceasefire deal? And how much influence does Iran have? Will they be pulling the strings here?
That's correct, Madam. Iran has a huge influence on Hezbollah, although they have said time and time again that they would leave it up to the Speaker of the House to continue the negotiations in order for them to bring the truce and the ceasefire into effect. We don't know how much they will comply with the ceasefire, although they have said that they wanted the ceasefire. They don't want to be completely interlinked with the Gaza ceasefire. And at the same time, we as independent MPs who called for the state of law from the beginning of our terms, we also want Hezbollah to become part of the government, to really be under the law, and for us together to build a state and to build a strong government that will be able to imply the UN security resolution and also gain the trust of the international community, so that the sovereignty of the whole country becomes one and becomes under one government, that is the Lebanese government. I understand that Iran has interfered a lot in our politics. They have to do a lot with supporting Hezbollah, also financing them and supporting them with arms, with ammunitions, and that's why we are in the state that we are in right now. We do call on all international countries to support us in order for us to gain our sovereignty, not to really push or fuel a fight that we have nothing to do with.
OK, Najat Saliba, thank you very much for being with us from Beirut.